All right, welcome everyone. My name is Rachel McGill. I am the Healthcare Workforce Liaison for JMG, and my position is a partnership with MaineHealth to help build knowledge and create some awareness around healthcare careers within the state and within MaineHealth specifically. So before we get started, I'm just going to do a couple housekeeping items for you. If you have questions that come up throughout this presentation, please feel free to put those in the Q&A section down below. We've allotted some time at the end to get to those. Obviously, this is going to be recorded. So for those who can't attend live, this will be posted to JMG's website by the end of the week, and it'll be under the workforce development page. The last thing I'd like to say is there will be a brief survey at the end of this session. It will pop up on your screen. It's only 4 questions, and we really appreciate the feedback if you have time to provide that to us. So with that, I'm going to do some introductions today. We're going to be discussing MaineHealth Summer Internship Program, and we have some great guests with us. So if you guys could just wave because some of you won't be talking right away. First, we have Stephanie Garland, who is the Workforce Development Program Lead. And then we have Joe Beatty, who's a Talent Acquisition Partner. And last but not least, Erin McHugh, who is an Employment Specialist 3 within the Department of Vocational Services. So today, we're actually going to start this off by talking with Erin because not only is she a current employee of MaineHealth, but she was a former intern who went through this program as a student. So it'll be great to get her perspective from a peer point of view. So Erin, thank you for joining us. The first question I always like to ask is, everybody goes through a different pathway within their career, and it's always good to get some perspective on what your story is. So like, what kind of student were you in high school? Did you always know you wanted to work in healthcare? So things like that. If you could give us your background a little bit, that would be great.
Yeah, so all through elementary school, high school, I was the overachiever. I didn't have study halls. I didn't have lunches. I took as many classes as I could. I joined every sports team. I joined every club that I could. So I was just very ambitious. And I think I just loved to try new things. As for always wanting to be in healthcare, I always loved medicine. I always loved science, but I also always loved art. And so I ended up going to college for woodworking and furniture design. But my woodworking involved biology. So I did a few research grants in college that incorporated biology into metalsmithing, woodworking, and ceramics. So I would say that answer is a yes and a no. I'm back.
Yeah, that's so fascinating to hear. And how did you what made you pursue this summer internship if your degree program was so specific to art?
Yeah, so I got a degree in woodworking and I stayed in that field for 8 years. I taught woodworking. I did a bunch of art school work. I worked in galleries and I built houses as well. And I just wasn't fulfilled, I guess. So I stayed in school during that whole time. I got a couple of associate's degrees. And then during my senior year, I saw the MaineHealth Internship Program, and I thought if I'm ever going to try something new, now is the time, because I am 30 years old, changing a career, and it's sometimes hard to enter a new career field without experience. So I thought this was a way to gain some experience without diving into a field headfirst, not knowing if I'd like it or not.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's like the definition of an internship. That's awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh, um, so let's talk about your experience as an intern. So what department were you linked up with? And could you talk about some of like the tasks you performed that while you were within that internship?
Yes, so I worked with the performance improvement department, and I specifically worked with the operational excellence team. And some of my tasks, it was very independently driven. And that was a discussion that we had at the beginning, was what did I want to get out of this and what were their needs? And they respected the fact that I liked to work independently. So I conducted a literature review on idea generation and helped them to generate a tool that could be used in their OpEx program. And then I met with different teams through MaineHealth to talk with them about how they use this very specific tool. And I generated a survey on Smart Sheets, and I really tried to use new skills, which the supervisors of the program helped me a lot. But then I also did other tasks like develop a library catalog online, and then I used a little bit of my art background and generated some graphics for the Lean Six Sigma training program that they do. So the tasks varied. It was a lot, but it was fun.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And it's great to hear it was collaborative almost in nature. So you could be independent and kind of go your own path as long as you are meeting the goals set out by the department. So that's really good to hear. Um, how did you find the work schedule over the summer? So you said you were a senior in college. Were you also taking classes, or was this just your sole focus?
So this was my sole focus. I was in my last semester when I applied for the program. And so because of COVID and how the department ran, it was very remote primarily. I could go into the office, but there weren't always a lot of people working there. So I did take advantage of working remotely. Um, and I kept a spreadsheet of the tasks I did, and as long as I could get those tasks done, there was a range of times that I was supposed to be working, and so there was a little bit of fluctuation and flexibility with that, which was nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm sure you got to know how you like to work or have some preferences kind of emerge from that experience. So that's great. What would you say is the most beneficial part of the internship program now, kind of sitting on this back end side of it where you've gone through it?
I think it was the opportunity to try something that I knew I was interested in, I thought I would do well at, and to see if I could actually get that accomplished. And I think that they gave me the freedom of the independence so I could try something new. I think that was the most beneficial part for me, but also each person that I met with during my time in the internship, I asked what's one thing that I could gain from them or learn from them. And so that could be discussing a resume or just talking about MaineHealth. I really tried to network and gain from the people that I was working with, because I think everybody can bring a different skill set. And unless we ask about them, you might not know. So I think the people from MaineHealth were also one of the best benefits.
Yeah, and just, as we're talking about this, hearing you, one of the questions I was going to ask you later was like tips for some students or advice, but like you're kind of already saying that. So using this as an opportunity to network within the organization, to talk to professionals about what it is they do. And yeah, so that's fantastic to hear that that happened organically with you. Um, so we talked about the most beneficial thing. So I'm curious to know what was maybe the most challenging aspect of this experience.
I I'm very shy, so I think having the confidence to reach out and ask for help and have those meetings and get to meet everyone in the department and have those interactions with other departments, that was probably the most challenging because I was an intern and I felt like I was taking this very big role of responsibility. Um, and it really was. I feel like you're always taught, oh, you'll get more comfortable as you keep going. And it was very much that, but it was still challenging to be ready to talk with these people and be the one that leads the meetings. I think that was a new task that I had never tried before.
Yeah, I never really thought about that. So that's a great perspective to bring to the table. And I think when you're under the label of intern, it sometimes give you a little bit more of a grace almost that you're learning and you're practicing these skills so that when you are hired eventually or go out into the real world, you've had some experience doing this rather than having to go like kind of cold turkey in front of people. So I think that's great. Um, Okay, so clearly you are now working for MaineHealth after going through that internship program. So you have done what most people try to do with an internship is turn it into a full-time position. So could you talk about how this came about?
Yes, so the internship offers it was called Lunch and Learns during my time there. So meeting with different departments, but there were also different webinars and trainings. And I attended a disability inclusion training, and it was run by a woman named Susan Gaddy and her coworker, Chris Hines. And Susan was talking about how she changed career fields at 50, and she was actually an intern, and they were just so enthusiastic about what they were talking about, disability inclusion, and it was a topic I didn't know too much about. And so I just felt like I should email them after and tell them how great they did and how it made me more interested in the topic, but also disclose to them that I had a disability and never considered disclosing that in a workplace, and just wanted to talk with them further. And so we ended up, the three of us met in what started as, oh, we're going to just chat for 15 minutes, turned into an hour-long conversation. And I applied that afternoon for an opening in the employment specialist position. And it just seemed like the things that I was looking for in a position were filled in that role. Yeah, it was very organic. I'm thankful.
That's awesome. I love to hear that these things, and when programs are getting put together like this, like within the workforce development team, I'm sure that's the idea, right? That these things will naturally kind of occur, but hearing that it happened for you and you heard about a department or an area within healthcare that you never knew existed before. So it was able to kind of make those connections in a real way. So that's really exciting. Um, Okay, so what's your favorite part, or what do you like best about your current role within MaineHealth?
I love, so in my role now, I help individuals with disabilities find employment. And I think my favorite part is that freedom to meet people where they are. So, do you need help talking on the phone? Or do you need help filling out an application? Can we go on a walk and go into businesses together? Each day is just so different. And I think, as somebody that didn't have the easiest upbringing, having somebody that can be there and support them, I want to be that person. And so if I know for the next hour I can support this person however they need me to help, I just love that. I like to be somebody that can help. I don't know, that sounds
Yeah.
cliche, but
No, that's fantastic. And I think we talked about this a little bit earlier, but understanding how you like to work and the environment within which you like to work, it seems like all of these things were a little bit further refined for you the more you went through the internship program,
Mhm.
and did like some reflective things on your own. And I know you talked about this a little bit, but the last question I really have for you is what are some of the skills that make you successful, like in your current role, or what were some of the skills that you could recommend to students to kind of think about as they're going through their internship that would help make them successful?
uh, don't be afraid to ask questions. I think that that's one thing, but then just realizing that everybody has been where they are, and it was a process to get where we all are now. So to just take every opportunity that they can. That's why I loved this internship program. It really is a chance to try something new, and I think everybody should take advantage of that.
I work in the talent acquisition department at MaineHealth, so recruiting and hiring, and work with Steph. So Steph's going to talk in a second about some of the different benefits and some of the different ways in which the internship can be really beneficial to people. But I wanted to cover off some of the logistics of it first. So this is a process that Erin went through last year. I had a few conversations with Erin going through, and just kind of set the lay of the land a little bit and give you a bit of a heads up. So this is a paid internship with MaineHealth. It's $17 an hour if you are in a undergrad or the first 4 years after high school, $19 an hour if you are in a postgraduate program or graduate program. And I know Steph is going to talk a little bit more about this, but it runs through the summer. And we're really looking for folks who can kind of commit their time to the internship and to MaineHealth for that summer. And then in that way, it can be beneficial for us and for you in that process. So obviously there's a lot of benefit for us in having the opportunity to work with people, get some fresh ideas, potentially look into hiring people into the organization, and then also just sort of grow the things that we are talking about and educating on within the organization. So it's something that's exciting and we're eager to get into. And if it is something that feels right to you, we'd love to have you apply. It's a competitive process. We do get a lot of applicants, but we'd love to see your application come in. We'll get the information to you. There are a couple of websites to take a look at. There's one that has a list of all of the different internships, a little bit of a description about what they are in them, and it's well worth spending quite a lot of time on that. I think Erin sort of alluded to it a little bit, but there's a whole range of different things you can do within healthcare. And I'm still relatively new to healthcare, and it's been an ongoing growing and learning process to see all of the different things that MaineHealth does. So well worth looking at that list. It's about 40 to 50 internships long, and see what speaks to you, see what's interesting to you. It doesn't have to be relevant to what you've done in the past, but the hope would be that you can kind of connect some of what you've done in the past to this internship and to your desire or want to do it. And then you'll also see on that website a link to the application. There's a job posting site, and that's the second site that I was talking about, with a link to essentially just say apply now, or click to apply now. And in that application process, what we do ask for is you fill out the application. The application is quite long, and my best advice to you on that is to keep clicking next until you can't click next anymore, but always look for that next button, because there's some that are really long pages and it's sort of hidden right at the bottom. So keep clicking next until you can't anymore. And then we do ask for you to submit a resume and a cover letter as well. So the resume can be about what you've done, is the simplest way to do it, and then the cover letter can be about your story and why you want to do this job. And in that cover letter, that's where you can really choose the 1 to 3 internships that you are most interested in. You can put them in order, you don't have to, but the 1 to 3 internships you're most interested in, that really helps us sort of move you around to the right place and get you in front of the right people. And I think that one thing, I was actually looking back at Erin's application this morning, and one thing that Erin did so well is link all the things that Erin has done into the potential of the internship. So talking about carpentry and woodworking and how that might relate to working in healthcare, and what are the things in carpentry and woodworking, whether it's concentrating on the details or making sure to be really thorough and careful, and how might that relate to healthcare. Then the other piece of it is just really explaining why you want to do this internship. I think, as I said, there's a lot of people who apply, and there's a bit of an advantage in being in Maine, I will say, and we're certainly looking for people who want to be in healthcare in Maine, so that's a little bit of an advantage. But talking about what it is and why it is that you want to spend the summer with MaineHealth. We do ask that you are enrolled in an academic program after high school. So that can be an associate's degree, it can be an undergraduate degree, it can be a master's, a doctoral program, whatever it is, but enrolled in an academic program. You can be in your last year like Erin was, so you can just be coming to the end of that program, or you can be right at the beginning. There are a couple of internships where they are looking specifically for a certain year of education, so just keep an eye out for that as you're going through. And then really what we're looking for depends on the role itself. So make sure you read the description of the internships carefully, so that you can really answer that question of that we're putting out there of like, we are looking for somebody who can do this internship, and you can really say, I can do this internship because I have all of these things. I'd say the only other piece of that might be relevant is just to think about MaineHealth at large, and some of the things that are important to MaineHealth when you're thinking about your cover letter. So it's a non-profit. We're not trying to make a profit. We're trying to help the community and work together so our communities are the healthiest in America. We have a set of values that are really important to us. So thinking about those and thinking about how you fit into those or agree with those, and then the opportunity to talk about that is there in the cover letter as well. And then, of course, the other pieces, we're looking for people who are reliable, who can commit for the whole summer, who can be a team player. We often work in teams at MaineHealth, and really ready to kind of jump into a fast-paced organization. It's a large organization, 22,000 people across the whole state of Maine. So there's lots of things happening all at once and a lot of people to kind of work with and connect with and talk to. But it's also a great organization to work with, a great organization to learn with, and lots of opportunities to really grow a career that stays with MaineHealth for a long time. So as I mentioned at the beginning, we'd love to see you apply. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to talk and ask and think with you. But yeah, Stephanie, I'll hand over to you at this point to kind of think through some of the other pieces.
Absolutely. Great. Well, just echoing Joe, first of all, amazing job, Erin, and Joe as well. I get the pleasure of sort of building on some of the things that they said in our last few moments here. But as Rachel mentioned in the beginning, my name is Stephanie Garland. I am a program lead in the MaineHealth Center for Workforce Development. And my role as it pertains to the internship program is really sort of overseeing the program throughout the planning phases and then the on-the-ground components of the program from start to finish. So I'll talk a little bit more about what that looks like in practice, but just a few things to touch on. So this is a 10-week summer internship program. And for 2023, that means that the program is starting on Monday, June 5th. And then it ends on Friday, August 11th. So Erin talked a little bit about just all her great experience and all the additional parts of the internship program in addition to her summer work. So I'll talk a little bit more about that. We offer different learning and development sessions throughout the summer, offered by MaineHealth in partnership with the Research Institute, who also run a summer undergraduate research program, and then with our external partner at Maine Career Catalyst. So they offer networking opportunities and different workshops that all of our interns are automatically invited to. They're all free sessions. And then on the MaineHealth side, we have a full calendar of sessions. So Erin referenced Lunch and Learns. We do different presentations. So vocational services came and presented. We have leadership development trainings. We do different lunch and learns. So we focus on specific careers across the health system and have leaders and care team members come and talk about their roles. And really the goal of that is to do exactly what it seems like worked for Erin is expose our interns to different career paths, to different professionals, to opportunities to network and learn, because that's really one of the main goals of the program, is really giving you as an intern the opportunity to work in your role and learn about what you're focusing on in your project, but also to explore if your current role is something you'd like to continue in, or like Erin, maybe there's somewhere else in the MaineHealth system that you'd like to apply your skills and continue your career here with us. So lots is offered there. The only other things I would really add, and I know we want to save a few minutes for Q&A, Rachel, so I will pause soon, but I would really just say that echoing what Joe and Erin have said, the internship program is a really great opportunity to get real hands-on experience in the largest healthcare system in the state of Maine. So you're really working on projects that are meaningful. These roles are non-clinical roles. So while you may not directly work with patients in a patient space, like some of our clinical care team members, you're having a real impact. And I think what a lot of us who maybe didn't envision a career in healthcare see when they come to MaineHealth is, oh, wow, this is really meaningful work. I do have an impact. I work in human resources, and the work that I do directly impacts the people providing care. So just a really great opportunity to make a difference and to learn while you're doing it. So I will stop there and hand it back to our host.
Yes, apologies everyone. Maine winter and my power flickered off there for a moment. So thank you all for kind of sticking with it. Thankfully we had a nice outline to keep going. So I appreciate you guys stepping in that way. And just, it doesn't look like we have any questions in the Q&A at this time. So I just want to say thank you to all three of you for providing the perspectives that you did. Aaron, for giving like the peer-to-peer actual experience and how you converted that internship into a full-time job. Joe, for talking about the logistics of kind of next steps and action items on how to get started. And we know the application, I'm sure I missed part of yours. So I know the application is live now, right? So students can actually go in and start that process. And Stephanie, just talking about the benefits and kind of the role that workforce development plays in this program and how it's really serving to fill some of those high employment need areas within the hospital that people don't traditionally think of when they go to thinking of careers in healthcare. So really, really appreciate all of your time today and everyone out there. And Joe, thank you for putting that out. I will send a follow-up email to all the participants who were here today, as well as those who registered and weren't able to make it. Unfortunately, the video is going to be cut a little in between, but I'll send some of the links that Joe is kind of putting into the chat right now so that we can, everybody can get a chance to view that stuff. I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their snow day today. Thank you so much for joining us. And with that, we'll sign off a little bit early.